Hi everyone, happy book week. I'm going to read you a story called The Wicked Witch. There once was a devious old witch, and you know what her sort are like, always setting charms and jinxing things and laying cunning traps to ensnare innocent children. Everywhere she prowled, there was a toad on her trail and a curse on her tongue, and you can be sure that nobody wanted to go near her. Now, in another part of the country, there lived an impoverished family with a strapping daughter, and as soon as the girl was old enough, they sent her out into the world to seek employment. She wandered here and she wandered there, knocking at the door of every big house she came to, asking them to take her into service. But nobody wanted her. So she was forced to search even further afield, and before she knew it, her journey had taken her far from home and into the Wicked Witch's land. Soon the girl began to notice some very strange goings on. Many of the animals she passed were making noises that sounded like human speech, which she found very unnerving. Then the trees started talking too, and even the rocks, until finally a disembodied voice screeched out, "Help me, child, help me, do!" "Whoever is that?" called the girl fearfully. "I'm over here in the field to your right," the voice shouted. Turning, the girl saw that an iron oven had been dumped in the middle of the field, and wafting out of it was the smell of burning. She approached it cautiously, and from inside the oven the voice called to her again. "Pity me, child, for once I was a fine and wholesome loaf of bread, but the wicked witch shut me in this oven 7 long years ago, and though I am baked through and through, she will not let me out." The girl had a kind heart, so she ran up to open the oven door and set the loaf free, laying it gently upon the grass. The blackened loaf was grasping for air, but thanked her profusely and swore that, should the girl ever find herself in a similar situation, it would do all it could to reciprocate her kindness. The girl went on her way, and very soon she came to another field, where a cow with dangerously swollen udders stood bellowing piteously. As she approached it, the beast ceased its bellowing and called to her in a human language. "Help me, child, oh, help me, do! Once I had 2 calves to drink from me, and a jolly farmer to milk me, but 7 years ago the wicked witch drove them all away and cast a spell that made me swell and engorge unbearably. I'm desperate for relief." At once the girl ran to the cow and set to work on her udders until a flood of milk flowed free. The cow vowed that she would never forget such kindness, and she expressed the hope that one day she would be able to return it. So the girl set off again, wondering at these strange events. Soon her thoughts were broken into by a curious creaking voice, which groaned, "Ah me, how I suffer! Help me, child, help me, do, if you have even a grain of sympathy in your heart." The girl looked over a dry stone wall to see a solitary, gnarled old apple tree, whose branches were laden with enormous, misshapen fruits. Some had grown as large as pumpkins, while others were rotting and crawling with maggots and wasps. "Once I was the finest tree in this orchard," the apple sighed, "but 7 years ago the wicked witch killed all my companions and enchanted me so that I endlessly bear hideously deformed fruit that no one will pick. If only you could free me from this burden." By now the girl was well used to such curious appeals. At once she hitched up her skirt and climbed over the wall. Picking up a nearby stick, she reached up and beat it against the wretched tree's branches until all the malformed apples had tumbled to the ground. The grateful tree straightened itself and rustled in the breeze, swearing eternal friendship to the girl, and earnestly hoping that it would have an opportunity to be equally good to her in return. And so the girl continued on her way, and the next place she arrived at was the house of the wicked witch. She took her courage into her hands and knocked boldly upon the front door. When the witch herself answered it, the girl dropped her best curtsy and asked the repulsive old hag if she had any need of a servant. "Indeed I do, yes I do," the witch cackled, peering down her warty nose at the girl and beckoning her inside with a crooked finger. "And I will pay you well, child, very well, so long as you keep my house clean and tidy." "Oh, I will, ma'am," the girl assured her, for she was so relieved that she had at last found a way to earn an honest wage that she scarcely cared who her new employer was. "Not so hasty," the witch snapped back at her. I haven't finished talking to you yet. Before you start work, I must tell you the rule of this establishment. You must never, ever look up the chimney, for if you do, you'll regret it. The girl promised faithfully to do as she had been told, and the witch set her to work without further ado. At first everything went very well, but you know how it is when something's forbidden. It makes you long to do it, and it nags and nags at your mind until you can think of nothing else. That's exactly how it was for the girl, who had a burning desire to look up the chimney. Of course, she couldn't do anything about it while the witch was spying on her with those sunken, all-seeing eyes of hers. But one day the old hag went out to attend to some secret business of her own. As soon as she had gone, the girl took her chance. She went and stood in the chimney breast and poked her head inside to see what was there. You'll never guess what she found. Not a spook, nor a trap, but a huge sack of gold coins, easily within her reach. Of course, the girl couldn't resist reaching up and pulling it down. But at that very moment, she heard the front door creaking open and the witch's huge feet stomping into the house. I'd better get out of here, the girl thought to herself, panicking. So she opened the window, jumped out, and ran for her life, taking the sack with her. She hadn't got very far when she heard the witch coming after her. But then she came to the ancient apple tree that she had helped on her outward journey. As soon as the tree saw that the girl was fleeing the witch, it rustled its leaves and called to her, "Quickly, child, climb into my branches and hide." So the girl did, and not a moment too soon, for the witch was almost upon her. "Now then, you scabby old tree," the wicked witch hissed, "have you seen a slip of a girl running off with my treasure?" The tree swayed and creaked and groaned. No, not for 7 years. So the witch went on her way. Ha! But it was the wrong way. Meanwhile, the girl climbed down from the tree, bade it a fond farewell, and ran in the direction of her home. And it wasn't long until she met the cow that she had helped before. The cow mooed a soft greeting and licked her affectionately. But then the gentle beast saw that the wicked witch had turned around and was fast approaching in the distance. "Quickly, child," she bellowed, "hide in that long grass where no one will see you." So the girl did, and not a moment too soon, for the witch was almost upon her. "Now then, you fat cow," the witch hissed, "have you seen a slip of a girl who's stolen all my treasures?" The cow blinked, shook its head slowly, saying, "No, mother, not for 7 years." So the witch went on her way, and once again it was the wrong way. The girl came out of the grass, bade the cow a fond farewell, and ran yet further towards her home. And it wasn't long before she met the loaf of bread that she had helped on her outward journey. The loaf greeted her cheerfully and broke off some tasty crumbs from its belly, offering them to the girl to nibble. Then it spotted the wicked witch, who had changed direction again and was galloping towards them in the distance. "Oh, loaf, whatever shall I do?" the poor girl cried. "Please, can I hide in your oven?" "No," the loaf replied. "This time you must not hide, but run as fast as you can." So the girl ran off, and by the time the witch had reached the loaf of bread, she was 3 whole fields and near the horizon. "Now then, you burnt and crumbly loaf," the witch shrieked, "I know you're hiding that thief of a girl in your oven. Move out of the way so I can open the door, pull her out and tear her to pieces." "Of course, mother," the loaf said politely, and it stepped aside so the witch could open the oven door and peer inside. "I don't see her," she hissed. "Where is she? Where is she?" "She must be cowering at the back, mother," the loaf answered. "If you go right in, you're sure to find her." So the wicked witch hauled herself up with her claw-like hands, sat in the oven's doorway, and swung her crackly, bony knees up, climbed right inside. At once the loaf slammed the door shut, and then lit the oven so that the witch was burned to a cinder. As for the girl, she ran all the way home with the witch's treasure, and by all accounts her family was very glad to have her back safe and sound. The end.